All right. Good afternoon, guys, and welcome back. Let's catch up quickly. I'm with me this afternoon. And yeah, we've got about 22 minutes before we've got the Dow opening. So let's wrap up with the Aussie very quickly. Only about an hour and a half's worth of trading left there. So pretty much at the end of it. And if you just see by this 5-minute chart how sideways that Aussie has been all day. But let's go and wrap up quickly on the weekly picture. So yearly high-low trading between that 161 and 127 still. So a little bit green, red, green again, and we're just parking between those two levels. The trend's still definitely up on this time frame. We haven't got all that much time left this week and next week, and we'll have all new levels for next year. On the monthly high-low, we're sitting between that 77.89. We saw with Monet this morning, we were doing the setups as we got started in this open, kind of opened between those two levels, and we find strong resistance at that 89. Only next trade for us here is above the 100. We're aiming for the 127, or below the 38. We're aiming for the 11 target, 23 in our way there. At the moment, moving averages still suggest the trend is up. So green still above red, and we're trading above the 50 moving average. However, they're getting very close to each other. If we look at the stochastic, look how that came off quite nicely. So very close to the 50 moving average yesterday. And then we just pulled up quite aggressively. No follow through on the stochastic. That was, when I was watching this, coming quite close to that 50 level. And then it just pulled back quite rapidly with that little gap that we formed this morning as well, opening up a little bit there. So there's still a possibility of downside on the stochastic if we get that follow through down through the 38 specifically. But we know that we've got 50 moving average in our way. We got very close yesterday, and we haven't respected that in about 2 months. So it is about time. But at the moment, between two very strong levels of support and resistance. On our weekly high-low, so this is still valid for the rest of the week. It's also really not doing too much. We did get a trigger for a long. We got a candle close above the zero break. Previous candle high was our trigger. It was not the most phenomenal risk reward, but it was still below the 11. So we've got that target outstanding of the 38.2, and that is valid for the week. Stop for me would be a break of the swing low here. It's about more or less halfway between the 0 and the 127, which is generally our stop loss for that. But that's a nice level then to use if you caught this along this morning as a stop loss at the lows here. So break of those lows. In other words, if there's a little double bottom. If we do break those lows, very possible we're going to get a gap close there. So I would rather than get out and wait for the next setup. If we do come off, hovering around that 11, candle close below the zero, break previous candle low, we can then once again aim for the 127, 161. We did have this yesterday, but no real trade for us there because of the gap down. And then obviously this gap up this morning, but went to first target, went to second target. Let's see if we're going to continue going down, if we get a nice entry at least there. But as I said, we're getting closer towards the end of the day. We don't know whether we are going to gap up or down tomorrow, if we're just going to open normally. So we'll keep an eye on that. But as I said, we're running a little bit out of time here for the day. Stochastic hovering around that 50 level. So not quite a respect to the 50 moving average. But we have broken that 50, and that's just a little bit consolidated. Moving averages have crossed about 2 or 3 hours ago, suggesting that we are starting to get a change in trend, but we are still below that 50 moving average. What I want to see really for us to aim for that target level is obviously stochastic follow through above the 61.8 and a break of that 50 moving average, heading for that level there. That's the only long we've got. Until we get to that 50 level, then we'll reassess. But we've got some time during the week for that still. On the 5 minutes, and as we started, I said you can see how sideways we've been. I did a measurement earlier on. I think it's about 500 odd points. So 560 points, 550, 560 points. The total range for the day, which is a little bit weak for us. And we just saw that no real triggers. We had opening range. It was really the only thing. A couple of shorts, zero back to the 100, but we've just been hovering there. So it's still valid. Candle close below the 127, break previous candle low, we can aim for that 100. But as I said in the beginning, we are running a bit out of time to trade this hour and 15 minutes or so for this the rest of the day. But hopefully tomorrow will give us something better than this. This has really been a very, very sideways day, and we haven't even got close to testing that gap close to the downside there. Opening range, that is thing, it wasn't a fantastic opening range. We saw that first trigger, went to first target, stopped to entry, and then again triggered back to the 50. Twice we just tested that level, eventually got a nice trigger and hit the take profit. It wasn't the most phenomenal range. If we look at that trigger there, it's about 258 points to second target. It's not massive. Much better ranges there on the daily high low, except we didn't really get much in the form of triggers there. All right, let's move on to the Dow. We've got 70 minutes to go before we open. Let's go catch up in that quickly. Oh, sorry. Made some changes here to my platform. All right. Yearly high low. We still, and we have been for weeks now, between the 127 and 161. Couple of times we've respected this 127 and then just bounced off it. We saw it again 2 or 3 weeks ago. Was it going to do the same every time we did that? We broke record highs. Still possible that that's going to happen. Otherwise, if we continue going down, we can only look below that 127 or at least below the 50 moving average. We're just hovering around there. The trend's still telling us we want to be long, green above red above blue, and our stochastic still hovering around the 89, 80 level for the last couple of weeks. We want to see that follow through. So nice momentum on the stochastic downward, down through the 50 moving average before we really start getting too excited about the shorts. But we can just see how strong the trend has really been for the year. End of day, so our monthly high low, we just finding strong resistance off that 38.2 still. Got to that target level yesterday of the 11, but we had that gap for a couple of hours of yesterday while we opened. So no real trade there for us. Watch this now. Just watch for us coming into consolidation. So often we go to the other side. And I haven't got it on this platform. I must go and bring all my templates across. But if you go and look at this historically, every time we do that, like yeah, we go to the other side. Same with when we come from the top down, we go to the other side. So let's just see if we're going to continue doing that. We kind of have been doing that all month. Break into the consolidation to the other side, into the consolidation to the other side. This was perfect respect to the 11 yesterday. It's just a pity about that gap. And look how strong that held yesterday. And then from there, we just kind of bounced. So now we're just between these two levels. Long above the 61.8, short still only below zero now until we respect this 50 level. Then we reassess the short here. I've left this here from yesterday because we had that massive gap there. So this should actually just move for now until we get, if we do get a respect of that 50 level. Very difficult to identify the trend here at the moment. Green is on top of red. We are below the 50 moving average, but those two sitting on top of each other. Stochastic also just in consolidation between the 61 and 38. Not very easy. We need to see a break out of this. It's not been the most phenomenal month in terms of range. Let's see if that's going to increase as we get in closer towards the end of the year. All right, there's our weekly high low. Sitting at or between the 0 and the 127 still. So we looked at this and we looked at this morning above the 0, long to the 38.2. Shorts, we haven't got any shorts until we get above the 0, at least close above it, closer toward at least a first or second target level there before we start looking at shorts. But on this time frame, this strategy, no setups for shorts until we get above here. Still looking for the long here, candle close, previous candle high, we're aiming for the 38.2 and our stop loss about halfway. So as soon as we do get that, or if we do get that, we'll post some target levels and a stop loss there as well. Just watching the hourly stochastic here, it's been struggling all day around this 38.2. Signal line in the right place. If we do get that break, specifically of the 61.8, but we'll watch this 50 level carefully as we close to this 50 moving average for possible 50-50. Otherwise, follow through up through the 61.8. I'll start getting convinced that we can start getting towards that 38.2. But we do need a trigger for that. And obviously we wait for hourly candles for that to happen. The moment the trend started to change, or has started to change the last couple of hours, green is above red, but we're below the 50 moving average. So we need to contend with that if we're going to see this market go up. And of course, that's the stochastic follow through, as I was talking about earlier on. My 9-hour bombed out, but I know I can just see we did get a trigger. There was our highs here. That was our trigger. We did send that out. As soon as we start with the 1 minute, I'll just go and redraw this whole thing, and we'll keep an eye on that. I can just see right now, just by looking at that, our support levels around that 61.8. But that did give us a trigger, and that hasn't stopped out. One of the guys asked me about the robot. It didn't trigger. There are some limits set on the bot, the 9-hour bot. It doesn't trade before 12 o'clock, and I'm pretty sure it's 12 o'clock platform time. Also, it won't trade if the range is too tight. Just by judging by the look of it, I think the range was pretty okay. But I will get the answers for that. But I know it didn't trigger on the bot, but manually we did get a break of that 61.8 as we got moving average crossover. Hourly grid, I think this is changing now. Oof, still not. Okay, so it's still in the same place there. Did get a moving average crossover. We're in consolidation. So with the moving averages having crossed, the next trade for us here will be a break of 61, and we're aiming for the 77. That is a pretty decent range. I've got about 320 points for that. There's no time limit to this, so it doesn't have to happen in a straight line or overnight. What's nice about it is it's a really nice risk reward. So 61 to 77, our stop loss will be 50. Halfway, we move our stop to entry. So really nice risk reward as we go along. And if we do get that follow through to the upside with the stochastic, I'm really keen on watching this and taking that for 300 points, even if it is an overnight trade or so. On to the 5 minutes. There we go. So similar to the Aussie, not as bad, but we've been quite sideways this afternoon. Around the 127. We did get a trigger short earlier on. I think we were still trading this morning. This was it. Below the 127, hit that 100 perfectly, and then triggered long again. Hit the 127, not quite to the 161, and then back to the 127. This has been a little bit messy. Even though the ranges are not bad, it's been quite a tough one to call, at least the longs all the way to second target. So hopefully for the guys that did catch some of these, that was really nice this morning. And then at least the first target stop to entry, at least trailing it. That was about 120 odd points, both ways there. So as we stand, if we look at the 5 minutes, can't tell you what the trend is. Look how on top of the moving averages, or on top of each other moving averages are. Stochastic starting to suggest we want to be short. If we look at that, trading below the signal line, a break of the 38.2, we want to be short. So we're going to watch for this. That was our trigger. Didn't quite stop out yet. So below that, we want to aim for that 100. We're going to keep an eye on that as we're trading the 1 minute, as that is an outstanding target. In saying that, that is an outstanding target too. So it does become a little bit tricky when we trade around the 127 level, because we do still have outstanding targets to the upside, but then we do tend to get triggers to the downside there. So we must just be a little bit careful with these ones. All right, opening ranges are on my 1 minute. It was a horrible opening range this morning. The ranges weren't good, and I think the first trade stopped out. Since then, I didn't even look at them anymore. But we'll get to that in a bit, or we'll get some new opening ranges as we get closer to opening. We've got about 8 minutes to go. Monae's going to just do the US tech for us. Sorry, guys, I'm talking quite a lot there, but Monae can take over from here.
Yes, 100%. Thanks a lot, Reno. Okay, so on the yearly high-low weekly time frame for US tech, we can see that trend is still very much up throughout the whole year. We've just been hitting these levels to the upside, went above 127, found support, and that bounced from that level and from the 21 moving average. That took us almost straight to the 161. Came very, very, I think it was like 30 points or something away from touching that 161. But as I said earlier this morning as well, we have about just a couple of days left of this month. So then for next year, there will be new levels on the yearly high low, but trend is still up, 8 above 21 above the 50, stochastic and signal line, both still trading above the 61.8 of the consolidation area. However, stochastic is trading below the signal line and below the 80 level. So let's see if we do go back to that 50 moving average, possibly before the end of the year on this time frame. But in hindsight, like we always say, above 127, we want to be long till the 161. So definitely on this time frame, I would still want to be long unless we do get a candle close, weekly candle close below the 127, which I doubt we will get before the end of this year for the new levels. But we know in this market, anything can happen.
Yeah, this is a bit ugly for me. I mean, it's
Yeah.
very similar to the Dow on end of week. This little pattern around the 80. So the week candle so far, it's only Tuesday, so I'm not getting ahead of myself, but very small candle so far this week.
All right, and on the end of day, monthly, this is daily time frame for US Tech. We can see, as Reno mentioned earlier as well, we broke all the way down below the zero, touching that minus 127. We bounced from that level back up to the zero, and that is currently our level of resistance. That zero can be a very, very strong level of resistance. We can see we do have 50 above 21 above the 8, which is indicating that trend is down with the moving averages. We also do have stochastic trading below the signal line and trading below the 38.2. So that with the moving averages are just telling me that if we do respect the zero as resistance and we break back down, getting a daily candle close below the 127, I initially would like to be short till the 161 because we can see that trend is fairly strong. We're also coming from support of, resistance went all the way to the 161, broke back down with one huge candle straight below the 11, and ever since then we have been trading below the zero level. So let's see if we do break these double bottom levels before the end of the month, but otherwise on this time frame I would still want to be short.
Yeah, for sure.
On the weekly, we can see the trend is starting to move up. On the weekly, we did get that 821 crossover late last night. Price closed fairly just below on that 50 moving average with the last candle for last night, the last hourly candle. We can see ever since for the whole of today so far, we've been trading above that 50 moving average. 8 and 21 is also above the 50, so trend is up according to moving averages. Stochastic and signal line both trading inside of the consolidation area at the moment, but we can see stochastic did point its nose a little bit above the 61.8. So trend is definitely up according to stochastic and to the moving averages. And just for the fact that we have gotten a candle close above the zero, broke previous candle high, so that was the trigger for a long, taking us back to the first target 23.6. We haven't reached that target yet, but everything still looks good according to moving averages and stochastic, so I would still like us to see at least that first target 23.6.
I agree with you there.
All right, and on the grid, we can see we're trading between the 38.2 and 23.6 as the trend is up. Candle close above the 38.2. I expect to go back to the 50 or even back to the 61.8, as that is the rule we work with on the with the fibs and the consolidation areas. But initially above the 38.2, I expect us to see the 50 that is very close to the 38.2. On the weekly high of the 23.6 level as well. So if we do reach that level, I know we would have reached the first target of the weekly high low already. But as I said, trend is up on the hourly time frame, so just watch as we close inside of these levels.
Absolutely, I like this. This is nice, and I like what you said with that 23 of the weekly high low and this 38 very close to each other, because this is a nice trade. The only hassle was we got the trigger very late. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning when we actually got that break. But it got very close. So if anybody was trading that, for me at least, a stop to entry on this one, because we don't know what opening will do.
100%.
Just get to 5 minutes. So there it is.
There we go, daily high low. We can see we are trading around that 127 level the whole time for today. We've had that kind of double top level, so we're above the 127, broke back down, got that trigger short from 127 back to 100, that head take profits. And again, from 100 we went to the 127, that level just held, couldn't get to the 161 yet. So let's see if we do get a candle close below the 100 for that trigger short back to the 61.8 final target take profit. Currently what we can see is we can see price is starting to make its way to these targets to the downside. We did get that 821 crossover a bit earlier, and now we can see that these moving averages are busy moving down through the 50. So price is definitely trending down on the 5-minute time frame. We can also see stochastic is moving below the signal line and below the 38.2. So that with the moving averages are giving me a great idea that I definitely want to be short on the 5-minute at the moment. But firstly, I would like to see us break down below the 100, because I can see if we do reach the 100, that will be double, or even you can consider that triple bottom levels, because you can see during today we have respected that level quite a lot during today. So candle close below the 100, break of the previous lows, I would like to take that short back to the 61.8, as all the moving averages and indicators are working in my favor.
Yeah, absolutely. That's very similar to the Dow again. You know, we're trading between, so on the outside, between that 161 and 100. So very difficult around these 127 and 100 levels. So if you catch them in and out, really, until we, as you say, at least break out of this. All right, I think that's it. Opening range we'll get to in a bit. Yeah, we've got two minutes to opening. I'll hand over to you, and then we can start trading.
100%. All right. Let's see what we have on the 1 minute. If I'm correct, the 1 minute grid has changed to the Dow. That is not that big. We can see we did hit stochastic on the 0 right over here. We did get that moving average crossover a little bit earlier. So stochastic from the high to that current low. Let me just check that high on chart time. That is 11:30. The low chart time is 13:13. So that is what I have at the moment for the 1 minute grid. As you can see, we did get that moving average crossover with hitting 0. So that's why it did change. Extension fib, I'm just going to put this to the side for now, at least until we get a couple of minutes, like 5 or 10 minutes through opening, so we can see if we at least get that range down and a nice follow through or a retracement to respect to one of these levels on the extension fib currently. So as I said, just going to put that to the side. US tech, 1 minute grid still from the low to the high. We haven't gotten a 0 touch from the stochastic as of yet. You can see almost got very close to that. So if we do touch stochastic on the 0, we close on the 0 and we get a moving average crossover. The low will change to the current low. But yes, we have just opened. So let's take a quick look at that. For US tech, also just going to put the extension fib to the side for a bit, at least until we get a better range through the opening. But let's watch what is happening. At the moment, we went all the way to the 77 on the Dow 1 minute grid. That is a current level of resistance. Stochastic also went up through the 50 for the trigger long, but that was with opening. So not going to look at taking any triggers at the moment, at least until I have the first 2 or 3 5-minute candles. Next trigger for a long, however, on the US tech 1 minute will be 33 stochastic up through the 50. So let's just keep an eye on that. A 5-minute trend on US tech is down. 5-minute trend on the Dow. It's a little bit choppy. We did go for a downtrend, but now with this candle push, we're starting to get that 821 crossover again on the 5 minutes. So let's just see where this 5-minute candle closes. We're just going to trail the high of the grid.
Let's take a look. US tech has not responded in the same fashion.
Not at all. It's going to trail the 1 minute grid on the Dow. Watch as we move closer to the 161 of the daily high low on the Dow. Resistance on US tech is the 50 moving average. That is on 1 minute. We're also on the 50 moving average on US tech 5 minutes. Just going to keep trailing the grid. Watch for that 33 up through 50 on US tech. Keep in mind, 5-minute trend is still down. Resistance at the moment is the 0 of the monthly. 1 minute trend is also down, so I'll not be taking that 33 up through 50, as it is still a bit early in the opening. I mean, it's 3 minutes after the opening, so or 2 minutes. So let's just give it some time.
Yeah, it's a 50 moving average on hourly Dow that's holding us at the moment. It's struggling with that follow through on the stochastic.
Right, the Dow pulling back a little bit, support 61.8 of the 1 minute grid. Also, US Tech support that 61.8. That 50 moving average on US Tech 1 minute is definitely holding. You can see how that moving average is just holding. On the Dow 1 minute trend is up. US Tech 1 minute getting very, very close to that potential 821 crossover as well. Current level of resistance is the 155 moving average on US Tech 1 minute. Next level of resistance on the 5 minute time frame for US Tech is the 127 again of the daily high low. This 33 down through 50, not really valid. That signal line is still a little bit too close to that 50 level on the Dow. The Dow current level of support is the 38.2 of the monthly.
Two markets not talking.
The US Tech just shooting down. Let's see if we can measure a small extension fib on the Dow. Sure, not really. I mean, we did come from below the 11. If you just want to retrace this move, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, more than 8 candles. We have that 50% retracement. So let's just see if we do get a break above this 100 to 127. We have about 30 points, which is massive for an extension fib. Dow trading above the 0 of the weekly again. If we do get an hourly candle close above the 0, remember candle close, break previous candle high. That is a trigger for a long. But currently we're sitting at double top levels on the 5 minute, just above the 127. US Tech went all the way down to the 100 of the daily on the 5 minute. Trend is down. Support at the moment for US Tech is the 100 of the daily and the 11 of the weekly. Potential trigger 33 up through 50 on US Tech.
Dow still battling with a 50 moving average on hourly.
We did at least get our first 5 minute candle for after the opening.
Yeah.
So let's have a look.
1, 2, 3, 4, 6.
So 33 up through 50. We have the 33 and the 11 on top of each other. So that usually does carry a lot of momentum when both of them go through 50 at the same time. Russia 33 up through 50. We have bounced from the 100 of the daily as well.
Yeah, all of a sudden, long wicks and tails there on the US Tech.
Yeah, it's mad. So if I do take this trigger, I'll take it only for the 5 points since it is against the 5 minute and 1 minute trend. Still very, very volatile.
Now starting to break the double tops.
There we go, triggered for the 5 points instead of against underlying trend. Oh, that was so close. Here we go, I've taken TP on that one. Dow pushing up towards the 161.8 of the daily high low as well. US Tech current level of resistance is the 0 of the monthly.
It was a nice TP. I took that one with you. I think in these conditions for sure. Let's go for the 5 points until we have at least a range. You know, the Dow starting to just run away, but the US Tech with those long tails.
No, but I saw that on the 1 minute we have that downtrend and coming almost from the 11 of the 1 minute grid and the 100 of the daily. I'm not going to take any chances at this point.
Yeah.
Since we have this weird volatility going on, as you said, the Dow is moving up, but US Tech's kind of just staying around these levels. Just going to trail the Dow 1 minute grid. We have broken up through that 100 level. We've reached 127 perfectly. US Tech breaking down again. Next trigger for a short on the Dow will be 33 stochastic down through 50. Keep in mind, 5 minute trend is up. 1 minute trend is also up.
So
we do
all over
we do, yeah, we do have divergence on the Dow 5 minute stochastic though.
Yeah.
Which makes it nice. What's that, 33 down through 50 on the Dow?
US Tech getting very close to that opening price of the day again. Look how it just pulls up. Yes, it really is all over the place.
On the Dow, current level of support is the 0 of the weekly. Watch for that 33 down through 50 on the Dow. Keep in mind it's against 5 minutes and 1 minute trend.
Just take playing around that 100 level of the daily high low. We know how strong that can be.
You go triggered, only going to take that for the 5. Since we are at the, it's already 5 points. It's already 5 points. Couldn't even pull my TP. So I took the 5 there. So I'm happy about that.
It's fast day.
We're also very close to, we're sitting on support 38.2 of the monthly. The only reason I'm going for the 5 points now is because we are both against both time frame trends. So don't want to get stuck inside of this volatility and swing all the way up. Plus, we are coming from very close to the 161.8 of the daily.
Possible little bearish engulfing 5 minute candle there on the Dow.
Yeah, that bearish engulfing there. See if that 5-minute candle does close.
Let's take out the opening price again, starting to break that now.
The US Tech is just dropping, eh? The low of the 1-minute grid is going to move. US Tech very close to the 89 of the daily high low. Have about 11 minutes to go for the opening range levels as well. And the Dow is just breaking.
Dow's gone all the way back to 50 moving average on 5. We can just see how strong that 1 hour 50 moving average has held us as resistance.
On the 1 minute, we also went back to the 155 and 50 moving average as support. No extension fib yet on US Tech. $38.2 of the monthly, still holding on the Dow 5 minutes.
US Tech has closed below the 100, the daily high low. Break previous candle low is a trigger for a short. Back to the 61.8. Let's just watch. There's been very strong support around that same level.
At the moment on the Dow 1 minute, we have a lot of support. We have the 50, 155, and 89 moving average sitting right there. Plus, as you mentioned, the 50 moving average on 5. See if we do break down from that. 1 minute grid is going to keep trailing on US Tech. Watch for possibility of an 821 crossover on Dow 1 minute. There we go. We've got that crossover. Price is trading below the 50 moving average. The trend is down on the Dow 1 minute. Next level of support is the 127 of the daily. We are on that level right now on the 5 minutes. US Tech is tanking its way down to the 77 of the daily high low. Next possible trigger for long on US Tech will be 33 up through 50. However, I would like to see us at least reach the 77 or the 61.8 of the daily before getting into any longs at this point, because we can see that 5 minute trend is still very much down. 1 minute trend is also very much down still. I don't know if you have anything on your side there, Reno.
No, we've got that trigger short. I mean, that's just motoring on the US Tech back to the 61.8, the daily high low. Dow possibly setting up for a short again below the 127. That would be about a third or fourth short at that level for today. But that's been very, very strong. If you just look at the 5 minute picture, how we've been just riding that 127. So we can expect some support if we can get a clear break of that short. But for me, the 5 minute trend on the Dows is very difficult at the moment to identify, because for 10 minutes it was up during this start to come back together again, so not so easy there.
But at least I know on US Tech we're going to have a proper opening range, and on the Dow.
Sure. About 12 minutes, sorry, about that video.
Sorry guys, also just going to start getting my levels ready so that I have that. Looks like we have found the high of the opening range on the Dow.
Yeah.
Nothing at the moment on the 1 minute that I can see. Maybe we just have to trail the 1 minute grid again on US Tech.
The last 5-minute candle before opening.
Yeah, and it is still pushing down, eh?
Yeah.
We're at that 77 of the daily high low now. Next level of supports before we reach the 61.8 is the 0 of the weekly.
Yeah, we must just watch now for possible double bottom at the lows of today. So we're right at that level now. Oh, scratch that, we're breaking.
We're breaking. Next 10 flip setups that I'm Dow US Tech. Getting that push up on the US Tech 1 minute. Watch for that 33 up to 50 trigger for the long. Keep in mind we are bouncing from the 77 of the daily high low. Watch that possibility of a trigger separation short on the US Tech. That will be in the direction of the 5-minute trend. Three minutes to go for opening range levels.
Yep. There'll be some opening range. I mean, even on the
Yep.
Dow, it's more than 100 points to our first target.
Yeah, that is massive. to have my opening ranges just ready on the side. US tick just breaking down again. That separation wasn't really the right trigger. We didn't get a close from the 11 above the 50.
Yeah, yes, so that's just going. Yeah, and there we've got our opening ranges. I'll post that quick.
Gold Rainer has posted that for us. So let's take a look. US Tech might be setting up a possibility of a short opening range below the 38.2. So let's just wait for the candle close below that level. 5-minute trend on the Dow is down. We did get that 821 crossover, or did we? That is on top of each other at the moment. Yeah, no, yeah. Well, it's busy. We should just wait for this current 5-minute candle to confirm that. But starting to get that crossover. Price is moving below the 50 moving average. So trend is making its way down on the 5 minutes. We are trading below the 127 as well. So let's see what happens on the 1 minute. Next trigger for long on both these markets on 1 minute will be 33 stochastic up through the 50, but that will be against both time frame trends, 1 minute and 5 minutes. US Tech looking like it wants to start bouncing from that low of the opening range.
Oh, that's holding for now.
We have 4, 6, 8. Let's just measure this one at the bottom. We can see we came from below the 11. So let's measure the small one. I mean, from 100 to 127, we have 16 points. Looks small, but it is quite nice. So let's see if we break up through that 100, possibly going back to the 155 and 89 moving average. Pushing up on the 5 minutes above the 127, that is on the Dow. US Tech still just doing its thing. Very, very short at this point on the 5 minutes. But as Rainer said, let's see if we can get a close above or below the 38.2, or if we just bounce from that level.
Two minutes to go for our 5 o'clock candle.
We've got that 61.8% retracement from the small extension fib on the Dow. Gonna measure this the right way. Go double top levels at the 0. Watch for the possibility of a trigger separation short.
I would like to say it's in the direction of the 5-minute trend, but I can't really identify that.
Got to break above that 0. Let's see if that 50 moving average and 155 holds. You can see that is also on the 50 moving average on the 1 minute. So let's see if we just get we did get a breakdown from that. Let's see if we get a resistance bounce to continue the trend down. Next level of resistance on the bigger time frame is the 38.2 of the monthly, but also keep in mind we are sitting on the 50 moving average on 5 minutes and on 1 minute for the Dow. So I'm not going to be looking for any longs at this point, at least until we do get a 21 crossover on the 1 minute or back on the 5 minutes. Of course, with the 33 stochastic up through the 50.
Right on that 38.2 the monthly, and then also 50 the opening ranges there, more or less in place. 127 daily high low.
Let's see. We'll be taking this long for 5 points. It is against 1 minute and 5 minute trend. But I'm going to keep the stop very tight. As we can see, we are pushing way above the 50 moving average, and that 821 crossover is coming in very quickly. And usually, as we know, we enter the consolidation area between 61 and 38. We tend to go to the other side. There we go. We have triggered on that. Only going to go for the 5.
Yeah, the only resistance I can see on 5 minutes right now is the 50 level of the opening range. So close. Really fighting with that 50 level and then 38.2 monthly high low 50 moving average. Oh, messy.
I'm getting that 821 crossover on the 1 minute. Stochastic push back down to 38.2. I'm going to get out of there we go. That's pushing down. Not going to play around with that. I can see that 5 minute wick rejection from the 38.2 of the monthly. Trend is very wacky on 5 minutes and 1 minute. Not going to play around. There's still a lot of volatility in this market at the moment.
Yes, 50 level 1 is holding.
Yeah, and that stochastic is struggling with the 15.
Stochastic's not following through. We've closed above the 50 moving average for about 4 or 5 candles now, but we still 50 stochastic is still below the 50 level there.
Woman is going to trail on US Tech.
Yeah.
You just did short opening.
Oh yeah, shit.
Yeah, that triggered for a short.
So thrilled with this. Yeah, we must just watch that target level is 61.8 is support on the daily high low. That's standing very close to that now.
Yeah, that risk reward is still perfect on that.
Fantastic.